friend of yours has already read it and here's his review. Would you like to know what he thought about it? And so again, this is social shopping in action here. It's putting, in the background, it's putting, the power of all of the people in my social network, all those little gray lines in that social graph are being put to work. Social shopping probably will increasingly look more like what we're doing here today. I use this example here of Expo TV. Was a fringe play, but increasingly becoming more and more mainstream. Expo TV is a website that invites people. Housewives are uploading video camera reviews of products. And I think they get something like, is it $10 per review? Not too much money, but it's really about getting them engaged and not, skewing their opinions. Increasingly, when you do Google searches, and I'm doing Google searches of my own client brands, and I'm seeing more and more Expo.tv reviews. So these housewives are influencing the tenor and tone of what the brand means, through search, through YouTube searches. Another thing to note, I noticed a couple weeks ago, Amazon is increasingly, they've added this feature and they're trying to fuel participation in getting more and more people to upload their own video reviews, just like Expo TV's model. M&M Mars is experimenting with gifting real candy via Facebook. We'll talk a little bit more about gifts, but if you're on any of the networks, particularly even Facebook, I forget the figure, I can find it for you, but the virtual gifts, those little pictures of flowers, pictures of things, are a big, substantial portion of revenues for Facebook. Mars is experimenting with giving and providing those kinds of gifts, but behind it is a code that you can take to the store and actually redeem that for, a real pack of candy or whatever it is that you've given. Even retailers like Walmart, and they've had some hiccups with social media, but their employees recently have gotten together and they now produce an employee blog. What are they talking about? They're talking about products, actually. They've put most of their focus for now on the tech side because they think that's the side that has the most interest and people want to talk about. But they're giving their opinions. In some cases actually bad opinions about software, about things they're selling, cameras. So they have their point of view as the salesman, and they're being vocal about it. So not only are we seeing the housewife being vocal, but we're seeing the retailer, increasingly being vocal. Implications for social shopping. Now more than ever, purchase decisions are not divorced from the social influence of others. Portability is the next trend I want to talk about. As information disperses wildly and widely across the internet and across all these personal channels, marketers are going to have to revert from what we used to call a sticky mentality to a term that I've appropriated from Mark Earls, this slippy mentality. And sticky really was always about, let's build this great website, let's build this great carnival tent, and hook and lure, and literally those are our words in fact, hooks to get people in and close the door. And then when they're there in our website, they're going to engage more with us, allegedly. Increasingly in this new environment, though, we've got to think and acknowledge the fact that conversations happen outside of our websites. They happen out in real places in the real world. Information travels. So we have to start to learn to adapt and provide handles on our content, literally and figuratively. How can we get, posted on Dig? How can we get our video not on our media player embedded in our website, 20 links in, but on YouTube so that people can take it, steal it, share it, embed it on their blog, take it to their Facebook page, share it with other people, forward it, on and on and on. And I think it's a different mentality for many of us because we think about owning things and putting these walled gates around it and getting them to come in. It's going to change a lot, even with traditional commercials. As we make our content slippier, we have to renegotiate things like talent, and it's no longer just going to be the air date of the Super Bowl. There's this whole long tail of engagement with the content well beyond the Super Bowl, well beyond our air date. So these are new considerations we have to start taking into account. Not only the content, but the social networks themselves are untethering to meet the demands of the anywhere consumer. A couple examples here, Facebook. Increasingly, I don't go to facebook.com to check up my status and updates. I use BlackBerry to do it. Dashboard widgets. I have here depicted a device that's called Chumby. And it is the size of a clock radio. And Chumby allows you to put widgets on it like your Facebook updates, your Twitter updates. And so it keeps you from going to twitter.com to see what Adam's doing. And it brings what Adam's doing to me on my desktop. So it's ambient data, always there, always present. And I think you're going to see more of this. And again, back to the second slide, as devices get smarter, you know, as refrigerators have monitors that update not only what's in the refrigerator, it's going to be telling you your Facebook update. It's going to be showing you what the kids are doing. And it's going to have probably live video like this that shows you what they're doing, for better or for worse. And so, therefore, micro machines and micro apps are demanding increasingly snack-sized content. We're going to have to figure out ways, back to that Slippy notion, you know, how do we compact our info so we don't give them the whole blast, but give them teasers, give them enough so that they can come back and get more or live with that. Implications for portability. We have to start asking ourselves, are we Slippy? We have to get Slippy. We have to start enabling all the points of distribution and syndication of our content across the web. Oops. Sorry about that. The next trend, live streaming, also known as live logging. I start with this image because I thought it was funny, but what you're seeing is, you may not be familiar with, but CNN has a new component called iReports. And iReports is citizen journalism. It invites anyone, you, me, anybody, to upload news. Good news makes it on air. Bad news, whatever, it's there. So it's up to you to decide what the news is, or at least a portion, you know. So on this particular day, on March 3rd, I checked the iReports, and someone uploaded this little bit of news of Barack Obama blowing his nose. And it's video of him blowing his nose before a speech. I think the implication to draw from this, though, is that we're always on, all of us. Everyone's always on. And it's not just for Barack and Brittany. We're always on, literally and figuratively, and our brands are always on. Our brands are at this moment, perhaps, being videotaped blowing its nose. You know, the customer service department does not know at this moment who she's talking to. Is that the reporter for Ad Age who's going to blast me out to millions of people? You know, is this Jeff Jarvis that I'm not installing the cable with, and he's going to post on his web blog and influence the whole planet to boycott my brand? You just do not know anymore. Everybody's always on. Microblogging has enabled this always on mentality. This is an example from Twitter, and just so everyone knows, I'll back up. Twitter is also known as a microblog, but it asks a simple question: what are you doing? And your job is to answer as much or as little as you prefer what you're doing right now. So it's an ongoing feed of what you're doing. A couple weeks ago, you may be aware that Yahoo had some hiccups and had to lay off some people. One of which was this guy Ryan Cooter, who became sort of an overnight internet star, as well as a mass media star. He was covered by the news, and mostly because he was always on during his last day of work before he was laid off. And he was microblogging on Twitter what the last day at Yahoo was like, what was the tone. He didn't say anything too, detrimental to the brand, but that gives you another clue that you're always on, good, bad, or indifferent. Last year, I recycled this slide to death with many people on different presentations. This is an excerpt from a website called Justin.tv. Essentially, 3 kids, I think they just entered college, using off-the-shelf software, nothing spectacular, no big budget, and they decided to make a 24-hour channel broadcasting Justin all day, every day. So when Justin sleeps, Justin TV's showing. When Justin's in the shower, Justin TV's showing it. And you can text him, you can talk to him, you can ask him to do things, he can decide if he wants to. But Justin was 24 hours live to the world. Yahoo Live, as we see, has now taken what was a year ago a very fringe idea, mainstreamed it and scaled it, and democratized this, this mashup of the exact same thing, literally and figuratively. Video, audio, and text, streaming our own personal lives, and what are we going to start doing with these new life channels now that we're Justin and we're always on? What are we going to start to do? This whole presentation, in fact, is sort of an attempt to at least point to one direction of what we can start doing with this technology. I think more interestingly, technology like this points to a lot of changes that are going to happen. In this case, within days of me using Yahoo Live, the designer himself chatted me up on the application, asked me questions. What do you think about it? What can we do for the next round? I asked him questions back. How are you guys monetizing this? How many people do you have? How long did it take? How many designers does it take to do this? He answered all my questions, in fact. And I think this has a huge implication for even customer response, direct response. When's the last time the designer of your car hit you up while you're driving it to ask you, what do you think? What things could we change about it next year? This is really important, I think. And again, I think like the Walmart example, it's pointing a direction towards how we as brands, we as marketers can begin to talk back and use this in a way that fits, without us sort of, being awkward in this dialogue. In an age of ubiquitous social media, people are vocal about their experiences, both good and bad, and they expect real-time responsiveness. We've talked a little bit about it, but a couple slides here I have from Comcast Must Die, which is Bob Garfield from Ad Age. You may or may not know the story, but he had problems getting his Comcast installed. So he said, well, if you guys won't respond, I'll make a blog, and overnight he's got thousands of people and millions of links looking at Comcast Must Die, and everyone's sharing their story about how Comcast has been a bad experience for them. Jeff Jarvis is another famous case study on that. Had issues and hiccups with Dell. Was very vocal about it, and then Dell sort of repaired it, and it was very public. Another example I have here of, in recent months, more and more people have been able to post live their dissatisfactions to YouTube. Live and on the fly. This example of Delta flight, and there's many other case studies of where people who've been stuck on the tarmac 4 hours at a time, they've been able to use their BlackBerry while they're there in the seat, find out the director of marketing's name, and blast that guy every minute of the 4 hours, emails of his dissatisfaction. Needless to say, I think he got a free ticket or something, not too long after that. Brands don't have to be victims, though, of all this social media. I use this example of Southwest Airlines, who's been using YouTube to their benefit. You may be familiar with a little internet meme that sort of started traveling around, and it made national news and real traditional mainstream news. 2 women were thrown off of a plane, and the headline was essentially that they were so pretty that they were thrown off the plane because the airline attendants didn't like the way that they looked and were jealous. That meme made it to mainstream news, though. Wasn't quite the full story, as you can probably figure out. And what Southwest Airlines has done is gone to YouTube with their real story on it, and sort of pointed out the clear absurdity of even the assertion. You can't make money if you throw pretty people off the plane. And of course, they use, an attractive woman to even deliver that message on YouTube. But again, this is an example of being very slippy about the process. They could have easily done a press release. Who would ever read it? Who would ever forward a press release? I would forward a YouTube link, though. Implications for live streaming. The web makes everything transparent. Deal with it. Get over it. Also remember, though, they post for a reason. And really, they just want a response from us. We're going to have to start adapting and picking up the line, even if it is online. PR, customer service, direct marketing, I think increasingly can be bolstered by social computing. Crowdsourcing. Savvy brands are harnessing the passionate sweat equity that people are willing to invest on behalf of brands they care about. Others, not so much. I use this example of Hasbro. Some of you may or may not be familiar with, but Hasbro makes a game called Scrabble, made it for years and years. 2 guys from India who love them some Scrabble made a widget on Facebook. Within weeks, they've got 3 million users. They've got over almost 600,000 daily users engaged with the Scrabulous widget. And they make about